Geraldine, you've worked with the BBC for a number of years as an editor and a broadcaster. What are your objectives when working with a client, and what makes your coaching unique?
My objectives working with a client is just to get them to start enjoying self-presentation, enjoying putting themselves over instead of dreading it and considering it to be a chore. And I think what makes me unique is over 20 years of live presentation experience. That makes me quite confident myself, but I've evolved a lot of tips and tools that I can pass on to my clients. I think when you're looking at the different forms of media out there, the central thing about a person's performance is that it has to be consistent across all those media and authentic. I think there's a slight difference in formality between television, say, and YouTube, but the basics about being really clear about your message and practicing your message are the same.
Even the most confident people, run amok in front of the camera sometimes. What do you do to instill that confidence in presenters?
I think it's getting them to be really clear about what their message is, that they believe in their message, and then they practice their message so that if they're temporarily thrown, they can quickly get back to their route map, if you like, through the interview, knowing what the message is and where they want to end up and where they want the audience to be at the end of it. People are slightly obsessed with media skills when it comes to crisis management, but crisis management is all about media strategy. So it's sitting people down and thinking, what's the worst that can happen? What would really damage your brand? And then how could you not spin it exactly, but how could you react to it in a more positive way? Or if there's really nothing positive you can say, how can we put our hands up quickly to say, we know there's been a crisis and this is now what we're trying to do to deal with it, to make our audiences or customers confident. So I think it's trying to work out what the worst could be, but then reacting to any crisis authentically, honestly and quickly. I think the way to make a press release stand out is to be very aware of what the stories are that are current at the time and to see if you've got a story that can contribute to that narrative, but also take advantage of the fact that we know that newsrooms are deluged with content, but often don't have the staff to be able to handle that content. So writing a press release that's very clear about what the top line is, very clear about what the story is, maybe attaching a video or a picture to it, you're doing all the journalists' work for them, and they're likely to take that press release just as it's written because it saves them time in searching out a good story amongst all those stories that are out there.
Geraldine, going forward, what are your objectives over the next 12 to 18 months for your business?
I think I've been really lucky in my career to work with some great people within the BBC and outside of the BBC. And now as I continue as a coach and trainer who works in self-presentation and communication issues, I just want to keep working with people who I can turn presentation into something they dread or they're a bit worried about, into something actually they really enjoy because it gets their brand across clearly. So I work with a mixture of people. I work with SMEs, I do corporate work, I work with charity and social enterprise as well. And my message is always, okay, you've done quite well, you're quite a good communicator, but you could take your communication skills to the next level to make sure your message is authentic and consistent and one that you enjoy delivering and that brings the business in for you.